Hello! Today we are going to solve polynomials. So we're going to be able to factor polynomials, which we've been working on, and then find the zero of a polynomial. So the first thing we need to figure out is what is a zero? A zero, which is also called a root or a solution, of a function is an input value that results in an output value of zero. So what does that mean? A zero of a function are the values for x that make y equal to 0. Here we have f of x equals 0. That's the same thing as y equals 0. F of x means a function of x. If we write a function in factored form, it'll help us identify our zeros or our solutions. So we have the quadratic function f of x is equal to x squared plus x minus 12. In our last video, we factored this, and we could also factor again by saying what two numbers multiply to negative 12 and add to positive 1. Our answer is 4 and negative 3, so that our factored form of our function is x plus 4 times x minus 3. Now that we have our factored form of our equation, we are going to take each one of these factors, so one is x plus 4, the other, x minus 3, and set them both equal to 0 and solve for x. So by setting them both equal to 0, we get x plus 4 equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. To solve for x, we're going to subtract 4. X is equal to negative 4. We're going to add 3. X is equal to positive 3. So our zeros of the function are negative 4 and 3. Now if we go to page 39 in our workbook, if you don't have your workbook, then you may just write down the problem. But this is just going to break it down for us in our workbook. So we have our function 3x to the 4th power minus 24x. So f of x we're going to focus on the polynomial part of our equation because we first need to factor. So if I go down my list of things to do while factoring, I'm going to look for greatest common factor. My greatest common factor here is 3x. So when I factor out 3x, I'm left with x cubed minus 8. I know we all know that we're not done here because this x to the 3rd minus 8 is one of our favorite polynomial identities. It is a difference, not sum. Difference of cubes. So since we have a difference of cubes, we're going to factor that. We have x being cubed minus 2 being cubed. So I'm going to put that into my rule, bring down my GCF. So x minus 2 times x squared minus 2x plus 2 squared, which would be 4. Since my polynomial function is now fully factored, I'm going to take each factor and find the zeros. that are associated with that factor. I'm going to extend the page. I have 3x as one of my factors, x minus 2 as one of my factors, and x squared minus 2x plus 4. So if I have 3x equals to 0, divide by 3 on both sides, and x is equal to 0 for my first solution. I then have x minus 2 equals 0. I add 2 on both sides to isolate x, and x is equal to 2 as my second solution. To find the zeros for the quadratic factor of x squared minus 2x plus 4, we have to use what we learned in Algebra 1, the quadratic formula, which is x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I don't know why that was weird. So we're going to plug in our values of a, b, and c from our quadratic formula. So x is equal to, b is negative 2, so the opposite of negative 2 is 2, plus or minus the square root, b squared, which is negative 2 squared, is 4, minus 4 times 1 times 4, all over 2 times 1. So x is equal to 2 plus or minus the square root, 4 minus 16 over 2. No, we are not done. I have to simplify this, so I'm going to get x is equal to 2 plus or minus 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 12 divided by 2. So this may or may not be your favorite part, but we have to simplify the square root. So the square root of negative 12 is the same thing as the square root of 12. We know that. I want to split up 12 so I have a perfect square, so I can simplify my square root. So it would be 4 times 3. And we know that the square root of 4 is 2. So the square root of negative 12 simplifies to 2 root 3i. So I'm going to write x is equal to 2 plus or minus 2 root 3i, all divided by 2. I divide each term by 2, so x is equal to 1 plus or minus the square root of 3i. So here we have 4 solutions. X equals 0, x equals 2, and x equals 1 plus root 3i, and 1 minus root 3i. Now, on Schoology, you will find an assignment. Please complete those questions that are posted, and have a great weekend.